Where'd you choose? It's funny. Okay, so we moved right up.
That'll be good as a
It's like, Dad was a strong person, letter kid. That's good. Was it right? Oh, they didn't have that. They no. Well, he said they were gonna have one for TNT. But they needed that, you know. It's not. No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so Marcus is
Yeah, bro. You didn't? Oh, yeah. Golf guys?
Chargers, yeah.
I called Okay.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
You should have some in your purse, sweetheart.
Megan,
You should have some in your purse.
I gave you that again. What, she wants to know if flip it to where she's looking or like this, or flip it to where.
Well, last night, that was a wicked storm. I
Then
said,
you can see where you can see.
we had some trees and the other yard.
I thought this way maybe.
We
But then they didn't pick it
Still out?
up. So I was like, I don't know. Wear my sweater. Wait, when do I do that?
Oh.
Yeah, that's one of the.
I don't know, I thought it was
Yeah. I think it's flower baby, because my cousin should be there.
there's a counter in there, maybe we just get it there, or there's a chair in there.
Okay.
Still got her mom here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh, yeah. I remember
What'd you say about the cemetery?
They said that, same said you can't do it through he said that you're at the cemetery.
I say Monday. but we'll take care of it.
That was the, I think that's this is the one that they had, I was assuming that they already paid for it, but I didn't see why you
Look at that.
did everything in that, did that. But he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he just said he doesn't do bronze, if they do engravings on granite, but they don't.
Look at this. I can't eat. I can't believe it.
Yes.
So maybe.
That's right there's my wedding.
There's candles in the back. A little lady with a black dress. Black hair. She's right there. That's bad.
You were gonna start as soon as they're done outside.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay.
That's right there.
Thank you, Sam.
Where are we supposed to get
Doesn't matter. Have my money. You guys will sit right here. Kevin and Mike are on and Kevin, Mike.
I've never met it.
Golfing
guys.
Hey, we figured you guys would be the first row right here.
Yeah.
You guys will be right here, so we'll be all right here, and then you guys will be right there.
All the short people up front. Yeah. Yarger. Am I wrong? Very well.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, I keep writing, like, you know.
Right around.
Hi. I told Jeremy there's
Yeah, 'cause I shoved it in my ass.
Oh.
Yeah. Hi. See you later.
Black man. We're gonna let Ashley sit with us.
I don't even remember.
They are right there. Ricky, will you go tell Tim to come in?
You made it. She's the one who works with the, yeah. I don't like the white deal. Trust me, everybody thinks the world is well. Nobody's with you. She really thinks you. Not that
Trying to get her to stuff here.
I understand the feels.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here for David and his family today. We do appreciate your presence here, especially under difficult circumstances and having to wear these, all that kind of stuff. Before we get started, I'd just like to ask if you have your cell phones, if you can put them on silent or turn them off. That way we can proceed uninterrupted today. And then following the service, we will be going out to Valley View. I'll give you a little bit more instruction then, but just remember, if you're coming with us, get your flag, turn on your bright headlights, emergency flashers. With that, we're going to let Sullivan Brian get us started with the service here. Thank you all for your attention.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I understand that many of you have come from a little bit of a distance, so I'm glad that you're all safely able to make it. You know, whenever I have the privilege to do this, I can usually tell a lot about the person's life that we're celebrating by showing up early and kind of listening to the crowd. And you guys are a little rowdy, so I don't know if that says a lot about me. But as far as funerals go, and that's why we're here today. I want to thank Amber. She did such a great job. And we talked, I told her my belief about a service like this is every life is a story that deserves to be told. I absolutely believe that. And my favorite part was to sit back and just listen to Lee's stories. She did such a great job of conveying that. And we're really here today to do two things. We're here to mourn his loss. And I know this has been somewhat sudden. I was just I got to meet Pat a few moments ago, and she was telling, he'd really been doing pretty well. So that I know this is somewhat sudden of a loss. And I'll tell you, based on my experience doing this for so many years, a sudden loss is probably 10 times harder to deal with than something you expect. So that's part of this. We're here to mourn that loss, but we're also here to celebrate a life that by all accounts sound like it was a life very well lived. And we want to make sure that we do this today. I think as we get a little older, it's very common for us to ask ourselves some of the tougher questions of life. And one of those questions is, did my life matter? Did I make a difference to the people that I loved and the people that loved me back? Did it make any difference at all? And you guys are showing in such strong numbers today that Lee's life mattered. It made a difference. This last year of COVID has been so hard on everybody. And there's been such small turnouts because of that. But to see you guys come in such a strong number, and you can just tell by the stories and everybody looking at the great pictures that are here, this man made a difference in his life. And that's why the loss is that much harder. I'm a big believer in something that I call holy collisions. And what I mean by that, if you think back over your life, there are a few times that you run into the exact right person at the exact right moment in your life for the exact right reason that you needed to run into them. You may be sitting next to one of your holy collisions right now. And you go back to that very first moment you met, what was it that sparked your interest? Who led to the second conversation and the third and the fourth? And why has it turned significant? And so I asked Amber, when it came to your dad and two of his most significant holy collisions, how did those happen? And by all accounts, it sounds like way before online dating, that restaurants were really good for Lee. They were a great place for him to hang out. His first holy collision happened at Frisch's Big Boy restaurant. You said your mom was a waitress there, and he would come in and with his parents, and I don't know what happened over the coffee or the Big Boy sandwich, but something happened. And that collision led to 35 years of marriage. And what fascinates me about this is if they don't make that initial connection in Frisch's Big Boy, nobody in this room is sitting here right now. That's what fascinates me. But I know that he lost her and then had a second holy collision with Pat. And again, at a restaurant. They started at Myers, I guess, in the coffee and donut section. And I guess Pat always knew him as the man in the hat. He was the man in the hat. And I don't know what it was about that hat that struck up this friendship, but I know that has been a significant relationship for him as well. Well, whenever I have the privilege to do a service like this, I consider this group right now, sitting in this room on this day at this moment, we are our own holy collision. There's really no reason to explain why this group of human beings would ever meet in the same place other than whatever your connection is to Lee or the family. And with that comes responsibility. You are now part of his legacy. And, my goal whenever we do a service like this is really simple. When we all parked our cars in the parking lot a few minutes ago, every one of us, we have problems and issues and things we're all dealing with. But we're going to call time out on all that for the next few moments. And my goal is that by the time we get back in our cars, we're going to be better people than when we came in, simply because of his story. That's the power that a life has. And he has that kind of a story to tell. A couple thousand years ago, Jesus was talking to some people like us, a small group that had just gone through a loss. And he said, do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. And I'll be honest, during my adult life, there have been a few times where that trust has been shaken. And this is one of those times where I'm sure you're asking, why now? This kind of came out of the blue. Why did this have to happen right now? But it did. And that's what makes a day like today so hard. You see, grief has an evil twin. And the twin of grief is the word change. That's what's hard about this, because the story's now changed. The narrative has changed. There was a hole there where there wasn't one there before. But a day like today, coming together, seeing old friends and family, swapping a story or two, looking at these old pictures, sharing a hug, those are all part of what it takes to put the healing process together. And that's why we're here today. If you've ever lost someone, you know that the real healing doesn't even really start until about the time these flowers will start to die. Because right now it's just kind of numb. You got to make so many decisions and get everything done and get this thing planned. But it'll be the weeks and months ahead where the real healing is going to take place. 80 years is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. Frankly, anymore, that's not too old. And there were more years left. And I did not have the privilege to know Lee, but this room is filled with people who did. So for the next few moments, we're going to hear from 4 of those. I'm going to have Debbie, and then Leslie, and then Russell and Amber are going to come up together. But we'll just go in that order, and I can't wait to hear what you all have to say. So Debbie, we'll start with you, okay?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Debbie Dano, and I consider myself one of Lee's. He was a kind and gentle soul, which made him very easy to love. I'm honored to be standing here in front of you today to mention a few things about this wonderful man. Even though I've only known Lee for about 6 years, he's made me a better person having known him at all. Just through conversations that I've had with him, I've learned he was a hardworking man, a loving family man, thoroughly enjoyed the game of golf, and very much loved 2 ladies these last few years of his life, his fur baby Sophie and my wonderful mother-in-law, Pat Dano. Both Lee and Pat had lost their spouses many years before now, and each of them had a void that needed to be filled, but they didn't know it until they met each other. These last few years together, in Lee's own words, were the best years of my life. In the beginning of their courting, Lee expressed to my husband and myself that we no longer needed to worry about Pat. He promised to take very good care of her, and he never fell short of that promise. When it came to Pat, he stopped at nothing to make her happy. To see the 2 of them together was nothing short of pure sweetness. When together, you could see them walking, holding hands, or sitting, and not across from one another. They always sat next to each other. Whenever they would go anywhere, Lee would walk Pat to their vehicle, help her into her seat, put her seatbelt on, and then steal a kiss before he backed out and shut the door. They'd even have strangers ask them what their secret was and how long they'd been married. And they would just laugh and say, "Oh, we're not married." The love they had for each other just flowed from them. You couldn't help but notice the intense affection they had for each other. He loved helping everyone, especially family and friends. It didn't matter what it was, whether you were moving, doing landscaping, repairing, or building something. He was always willing to get in there and do the work. Last summer into the fall, before heading to Florida, he would come to our house for many days, and he would show up early and ready to get to work, and he wouldn't stop, not even for lunch or for the day, until the boss man said so. He wanted so badly to get better so he could get back over to our house to help finish with the garage. We will forever remember Lee and what he has done for our family. He will be greatly missed, and I look forward to keeping his memory alive, especially with getting together with my new extended family. So Lee, we say goodbye, but just for now, and hope to see you on that green in the future. Thank you.
Well, I'm already crying, but I decided I just wanted to speak today on behalf of Kevin, Taylor, Kelsey, and Amelia. I'm Leslie Yarger, and I was Kevin's wife, and I'm Taylor and Kelsey's mom. I met Lee when I was 19. And I can say I've never met a kinder person in my life. When Kevin and I got married, they did everything for us. He always treated me so kindly. And when I think of stories of him, the first thing that I can think of is how no matter when I saw him or how long it had been since I seen him, he always walked up to me and said, "Hi, sweetie," and gave me a big hug. No matter what's transpired through the years or what's happened with us, he always treated me with kindness. And I truly loved him. I can say I've only had one father-in-law, so I don't have much to measure that by, but I think I had the best one. He just was an amazing father and husband and partner, grandfather and great-grandfather. And I was truly saddened when I heard that he was sick because he just seemed like he was going to be with us forever. But I just wanted to say on behalf of my family that he was pretty amazing, and we're going to miss him so much. And thank you, Lee, for being such an amazing father to all of your children and grandfather to your great-grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I'm really going to miss you, and thank you for being so kind to me and just being the amazing person that you are.
Hi, I'm Russell Taslar, Lee's son. When I was at the funeral for my grandmother on my father's side and my grandfather on my mother's side, I wanted to get up and say a few words, but didn't have the strength to, which I will regret always. I will not do that today. I've had my father my whole life to learn from.
And the two biggest things I took from him was fierce defense of family and a strong work ethic. And I've had Lee as a father for over 20 years. And the two greatest things I've learned from him was to be a caring father and a compassionate husband. So I was able to take those four virtues and forge them into the man I am today and the man I am helping my boys to become. When I think of all of the things Lee did for me and taught me all these years, I am 100% sure there is no way I could repay them. But I have always tried to tell him and show him how me. So I just want you to know, Lee, that I love you and that I will truly miss you. and thank you. Now this is what I prepared. And again, I appreciate all of you guys being here. It means so much to our family. My father in my eyes was a legend, and today I'm here to honor the greatest man I have ever known. My father had taught me many things in life, and today I will try to enlighten you with just a little bit of who he was. I've always admired my father's integrity. He always would lend that helping hand to anyone in need of it. He had great advice and life lessons for ones that would listen. He was never afraid of hard work. Also, my father was compassionate, loving, and an understanding family man and friend. He set a great example of what a man is supposed to be. And today, I am here with all of you to share my love and honor for my father. And I know that he touched many lives, and I am grateful to be part of that. And I'm grateful for all of you, and I feel very blessed today to have all of you in my life and to have had the time that I've had as his daughter. Thank you guys for all being here.
Thank all four of you. You all had such different relationships, but there was such a common thread about the way that you felt about him. And I want to encourage the rest of you. If you have a story, today with social media and all the different ways we have to connect, if you have a little story that you could type out or share of some kind that comes in the months ahead, take the time and get it to the family. Yes?
I want to speak when you're done speaking.
You can come right on up right now if you want to.
Hi, I am his oldest granddaughter. My name is Bridget, and I want to talk about how my grandfather was the most respectable man that I have known in my entire life. Like, I don't know anybody who can live up to the level that I held my grandfather at. He was always very fair and very kind and always very optimistic about anything that may have seemed like a problem to you. He always gave you a positive outlook on the situation. He was always a good person. He was happy. He was a father figure to my sister. He was a father figure to me in times where we didn't always have a father figure. And I will always respect him for that. Everything that everyone has said about him is true. You'll never find a kinder, more humble man. He did so many things with his life, but he never talked about them because that was the person that he was. He never boasted about himself, but he was all around he was an amazing man. And if you ever needed to hold yourself accountable to somebody for a role model, he's somebody that you should choose. And then outside of all of that, I want to talk about my memories that I have with him. So, growing up with my grandfather, I don't really remember a bunch when we were younger, but as we got older, I remember he would always sit at the dining room table and he would either always be doing a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku puzzle, which I always thought was great. And I appreciated that for him because that showed me that you should always be working on things to keep your mental focus good. And then when he would sit in front of his TV, he always had a lazy boy or recliner all the time. And that was always his chair. No one else sit in it. That was his chair. And he had headphones that he wore so he could listen to the TV, but nobody else, just NASCAR or golf, occasionally, some kind of act, occasionally. You try to talk to him, and his hearing aids would always go out, so you'd always hear the little noise of the battery dying, and you'd always have to tell you to hold on so he could change that. I don't remember. I know he was always fair. We always got gifts for holidays, birthdays, and everybody always got the same. He was always fair, didn't matter. And then when he got older and got a cell phone, and he learned how to text message, and I always got birthday messages and kind messages from him for holidays that I will always cherish. Those are just some of my memories of him, and everyone else has memories that we share. That's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Fred.
You to talk to? No. Okay.
That'll be the big sister number.
She did this for my grandma because I couldn't finish reading mine.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So. So, he's my grandpa, and I'm Tina and Jeff's daughter. And the way that they talk about my grandpa being their dad, there's like no doubt in my mind because he did the same thing to me. Only my dad adopted them, and we were a family of 5, So he's a really good man, and
It's okay, mate.
I went with my mom and my dad and my aunt and my uncles. And he taught me to respect myself and to, along with everyone, not to settle for someone. Right? So when I met my husband, everyone thought I was nuts because we met him within 6 months. We were married and having a family. And we met online. And my grandpa didn't say anything about it. He didn't say, no, don't do that, or crazy, or whatever, He, my husband was in the military, and I moved 6 hours down to Kentucky, and my parents couldn't make it to the wedding, and we were just going to do it by ourselves. And my grandpa drove them 6 hours. To be there, so I wouldn't be alone. And he surprised me by bringing my grandma to me. After he knows that I love my grandmas and I lost them. So he brought me when my grandma left. So that was just funny, but the week before he passed, I gave him a bath. And he brought up my wedding. And I just knew that was like our piece, But I'll never forget that moment because what else are you going to do when you're 19 and you live 6 hours away from everybody that you love and you're going to get married by yourself? That's how strong of a man he was to just do it. And then when we moved home, guess who moved us home? And I'm telling you, it looks like Antarctica, didn't it? I'm not kidding, it snowed and snowed and snowed, and then it rained, and it was at the bottom of the hill. If it wasn't for that SUV, we wouldn't have got out because it was like slush and icebergs everywhere. It was so bad. He didn't complain once. That's just how he was. But, yeah, that's just him. He was always there for everybody, and like everyone else says, he was a good man, and I want to thank him for bringing Pat into our life. He was a family man.
Yes.
Through and through. And Pat is a huge part of our family. That's the only great grandmother my boys know. And they love her. And she loves them. And that's because
one day Grandpa was at Myers and so was Pat. You know, so just like everyone else, we love him and we're thankful for everything he did for us. And I just wanted to say thank you. So, yeah.
There you go. Megan.
Thanks.
I did not plan to speak, but I think I will. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'll figure it out. Yeah, I didn't plan on this by any means. My day, we're coming home from the hospital. You haven't eaten in 2 weeks. Let's get a Cracker Barrel. It's on the way home. He's like, good idea, let's go. Dad. He's like, I have your sister. He wouldn't go to eat. He hadn't eaten in 2 weeks, and he wasn't going to have to hear about why didn't I. That's just the guy he is. He was. Sorry, I'm still in, obviously, transition. He's just the fairest damn man I ever knew. Damn friend anybody could have. I've heard stories we passed away, and his golf buddies in particular. They're great people. I didn't get to meet them until the last. I just want to thank you guys because you kind of put together a separate piece that I've heard about but never experienced. Completed the whole picture for me personally. With you was the friendship he had with all of us, but it was great to see him in the last couple of years. He loved golf. Obviously, he's got the golf balls with him right now. The funny thing is, I'd like watch golf on the weekend and say, hey, you heard about it? He's like, I didn't watch that damn stuff on TV. Those guys are too good. I'm like, okay. But talking to the guys on the phone, George, Larry in particular, and Roger, the friendship he had with these guys in the last years kind of just really completed his world because he did have a lot of great friendships. I mean, he did on and off. He worked. And when he retired, he retired. He was happy just to be done. Fun. Well, he went to a golf club, bought a membership, hated it. Some country club. So not him. I mean, you talk about a man trying to fit into the. Okay. I don't know, maybe. But he got out of that. He's like, I got together with my golf buddies, and we're playing in Xenia in 30 years. I'm like, okay. He's like, no, you don't understand. It's like, I look forward every week to playing this game with these guys that are so much fun. And they invited me out of town. Nobody's invited me. They wanted me to go somewhere with them. You know, obviously, significant. But he was so thrilled to be asked to do something with friends and basically hit the road for a day or two. And he's still talking about it. Like, I know, I've been there, I know. I've been in a casino. And Larry's telling me, first time I was ever in a casino. I'm like, that surprised me a bit. Not a bit. He's like, Larry had the best chaperone you could ever have. Because I guarantee the man didn't drink. The man didn't put $1 on the table. Period. You guys had the best chaperone. If you're going anywhere, you were good to go. But yeah, Dad loved their friendship, and I can certainly see they loved him. They said he was the kindest, best friend they knew. That's the best compliment anybody can give a son. Sorry. I'm just kind of rambling. But like I said, Amber, thank you for planning, team planning, everybody planning this. Thank you for being here. I've been ill since the day you passed away, and I'm still trying to get back on my feet. That's one reason I didn't plan on speaking, but everyone else through this 2 cents in, and my nieces got up here. I'm like, I gotta go. People aren't gonna want to hear what I don't know. I'm just gonna wing it. But he and especially Pat. I let Pat kind of to the end. I see you back there hiding behind somebody's shoulders. You gotta be sitting up here, not back there. I should be sitting in the back. You should be sitting up here. Come up here and sit up here. Come up here and sit up here. Right here. I'm gonna go sit in the back. I don't care. Right.
Oh,
You sit right here. This is where you belong. Half an hour. But thank you for coming. I don't know how much you have left. I've interrupted everything. But I just wanted to say, the people around Sun, we've had many an event here. It's always been great. So thank you.
Yes.
I didn't plan on hosting this or ending it. If you're gonna have that one here, I'm sorry. My voice has been over a week. Now there's like, but like you said, I just appreciate the stories, and it's got me through a pretty rough week because he was my best friend, still is.
Yeah.
It's hard to lose your best friend. But no, makes it a little easier to tolerate. I'm gonna let this gentleman finish. I'm gonna go hide it back.
I think speaking on behalf of everyone, thank you for getting up.
Yes.
And all of you. That's what this is about. You all knew him. And I do want to wrap up. We have some military folks waiting for us out at the cemetery, and we're going to honor a big part of his life. And I don't think in our country we do enough to say thank you to those who have served us. So if that's true about any of you out here, on behalf of all of us, thank you also. But I do want to make sure that as we wrap up, I want to say this. We talked a lot about who he was as a human doing. He was good at doing things. He had a great career. He was great with his hands. He enjoyed doing so many things. When I heard about his love for NASCAR and golf, those are two of my favorite things. I knew he was a guy that we could hang out together quite a bit. But what I heard even more, and what we've heard in the last few moments, is he was even a better human being. And it's so cool what you said about the golf buddies, because nobody knows you like golf buddies. And so to have that collection, I can only imagine right now he could not be more pleased to know that he had such a difference on all of you. We talked a little bit on the phone about, what happens next? What's the next chapter? And we talked openly about that. And even though church wasn't a thing, Jesus and his belief in that was. And, I told Amber on the phone, I was a pastor for 26 years, but I'm not anymore. And I don't go to church anymore. That's not a good or bad thing. But I'm telling you, I've read that book 100 times back and forth, and I'm here to tell you with everything that I believe that if a guy like Lee isn't in heaven right now, we're all in trouble. Seriously. And we talked a little bit, Amber said kind of jokingly that he's been cursing a little more lately. When he hasn't been feeling so well. And he even made the statement, I'm afraid God's going to kick my ass, which is kind of an ironic kind of thing to say if you're worried about it. But, I can promise you, God loves men like Lee.
Absolutely.
And in this lifetime, we're born one time, but we die 2 times. The first time we die is a physical death. That has now unfortunately happened to Lee at too young of an age. But let's be honest, it's going to happen to every one of us in this room. We don't know when, where, or how. The second time we die, though, is much more tragic, because the second time we die is the last time anybody ever says our name out loud. It's the last time anybody ever tells one of our stories. And it is up to this holy collision of people to make sure that he never dies that second death. To the grandkids, to the great-grandkids, to the great-great-grandkids that are yet to come, they need to see these pictures. They need to hear his stories, and they need to live with the same virtues that he lived his life with. So on behalf of Sam and I, thank you so much for letting us be part of your family today. Thank you for coming out and paying tribute to such an incredible human being. If you're comfortable and want to bow with me for a word of prayer, I'll close our time here, and then we'll go on out to the cemetery. God, thank you for bringing this holy collision of friends and family together today. And I pray that, I know that Lee can hear us right now. And I pray that he has a smile on his face. I pray that you have received him in a place that he can be reunited with the people that he had. I'm sure will anxiously await to be able to see everybody sitting in this room. So God, I pray that as we get back in our cars, that we're a little better off and we're taking a little bit different look at our own lives simply because of the way that Lee lived his. In your name we pray these things. Amen.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you for everyone that spoke about Lee today. This does conclude the service here at the funeral home, but we are going to have military honors and all that out at the gravesite. You're welcome to join us. Just please remember to turn on your bright headlights and emergency flashes as we're making our way over to Valley View. If you are a pallbearer, if you could come to the front of the room when I start dismissing people, that way I can give you a little bit more instruction. And with that, if you'd like to have a last leave, we'll be dismissing from the rear of the room forward. Again, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Sam, for everything you've done.
Appreciate
And
that,
absolutely
guys.
amazing.
Thank you. Okay, Paul Burrs, if you want to start meeting me up here.
I'll meet you.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Brian.
Yeah, we'll be.